Okay, so let me
So
know what questions you have about the MPH. It sounds like you're looking at the MPH MBA dual degree.
yeah, I specifically wanted to start with I know you went to Yale, so I wanted to start with that and just like or actually let me go back. With the application process, kind of when did you start putting your items together? Did you have to take the GRE? How was that whole process for you?
I have a very unique story to answer that question for you. I actually have another YouTube video about this, but essentially, I decided in like 1 month that I was going to apply to 15 MPH programs. So I think I took the GRE in October of that year. I think it was probably October of 2016. And I was like, okay, yay, I like got this done. It's good for 5 years. So I will just, it's nice that I like got it done and I don't have to worry about it anymore.
Mhm.
And then leading up to that, I actually paid money and took a boot camp class because I was like, I had no motivation to study for that. So that's what led me to take
Right.
the GRE. I like did a couple of months of like a after work course in person. And then I took the GRE in October, scored moderately okay. Not amazing, but good enough. And then I was like, okay, we'll see if I ever use this. Or I knew I was going to use it, but let's see when I use it. And then I had no intention of applying that fall when I took it. But
Mhm.
then in like late October, so like later that month, I guess, for some reason I was just feeling really like down and like not having a lot of direction and like some stuff was going on and I was like, you know what? I feel like I need to just like make the move and like finally like take that leap that I've been afraid to make, which is like applying to grad school. And I was like, well, I have the GRE done. I still have 1 month, a little bit over a month before December 1st, when most applications are due. Professors might not be wildly upset if I ask for a letter of rec like tomorrow. So that's what I did. The
Mhm.
next day I emailed for letters of recommendation. And then I spent the next 4 weeks just like powering through the applications
Mhm.
during all my spare time after work. And it got me to Yale. So yes, the biggest thing,
That's
uh,
incredible.
yeah, the biggest thing is just having the GR, at least for me at that time, was getting the GRE done because that was a huge roadblock. And then the only real time sensitive thing is like asking for letters of recommendation in advance. You never want to do that like on November like 28th and be like, hey, I just decided. So but
Right.
everything else, like you can sort of like whip together a little bit more last minute because that's just based on how you schedule your own time leading up to the deadline.
Right.
I
Right.
say that's not a good example. Like if you have more time, you should take it. But I decided to do that, and it worked for me. Looking back, yes, if I had another month, it probably would have been a lot better. But I that's
I
not
mean, it landed you in Yale, so honestly, I think you did everything right. I think everything went well.
yes.
Um, I wanted to ask actually with your experience at Yale, like how was the support there? Do you feel like there were a lot of on-campus opportunities and just student opportunities in general? Were there a lot of like roadblocks to getting those opportunities? Just the support there.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think for me, like I came from a giant, public school undergrad, UC Berkeley, where I felt like I
Mhm.
was truly like a drop of water in the ocean. And I had to like, their resources were so hard to find, like, never really like interfaced with faculty, like one on one, like, kind of was just figuring it out on my own with not much support and like opportunities. Like, I don't know, it was just all about like, going to class and like doing my extracurriculars, but like not really knowing what that was leading to. Whereas like I feel like in any grad program, not just at the one at Yale, it's like so much more tailored. It's different than undergrad. Like you are sort of at the next level of your education. And I think faculty also know that. And like you're now kind of like at a school that is like dedicating a professional degree, which is an MPH, to their students. So it's just like a little bit of a different vibe than like being an undergrad at like a giant university. At least that's how it felt for me. So I felt like I was like ready to just kind of like experience something similar to what I did at UC Berkeley, which is like not knowing anything, not like having to figure it out all on my own. And I was overwhelmingly surprised when it was like everything was so organized. I had like a career mentor. I had like all faculty like responded to your emails quickly. Like I could just walk up to a faculty person and talk to them and schedule a meeting with them. And that was like very not something I ever did as an undergrad. So yes, the support is very welcoming, warm, lots of opportunities, lots of support to help you with professional development. Like I said, career services to help you find a job, help you find an internship. That's not unique to Yale. Like they have all of that at Harvard. They have all of that at, all the other major, not major, but I think all public health schools that I've heard of and or have had
Mhm.
friends go to. Like I think it's usually what I hear is people are drowning in opportunities and they don't know how to pick between the different things that they have to choose from.
That's
And
a good problem.
yeah, I
Good problem
definitely
to have.
felt that a little bit. I think at first I was like, like what do I do? And then at the next thing I knew it, I was like, why am I involved in too many things? So uh don't
That's
worry,
good
there
to
will
know.
be plenty of and if there is not a opportunity or student group or something that fits what you're looking for, then you just create it and then that avenue is there as well.
Right, I see. And were there, like with student orgs, I don't know if there's a lot catered to, grad students. I also come from the public. There were so many like 400 plus organizations for like undergrad, but I don't know how grad like organizations are. Was there a lot for grad students as well at Yale?
Definitely not like hundreds, but like more than like enough that you would need. There was like
Okay.
don't quote me on this, but I feel like there were like 20 to 30. That might even
Okay,
be
that's more than enough.
yeah, exactly. Like there's still so many.
Mhm.
And then there's like volunteer opportunities. There's also like nonprofits. There was actually a course that I took that partnered. You would do like a group project in partnership with a community-based organization. And so like it's not even just through student orgs, but even in coursework, you get to partner with community organizations. So it goes beyond.
That's really good to hear. Really cool to hear. Okay, and then with finding MPH schools itself, how it's so hard because there's so many good schools. How did you kind of like apply to like figure out Yale was for you? Like the research before, kind of what were you looking for in schools?
Honestly, I just sort of like applied broadly to
Mhm.
schools that I thought, okay, I so I share this with everyone, but I'm gonna look it up for you right now. It's the US News rankings
Mhm.
of the public health schools in the US. I'll put it in our chat right now. But
Thank you.
I find this really helpful and show you. So I find this list really helpful because what you see is essentially like the top schools. So what I always recommend people to do is take this list, take a look, see what the universities are, where they're located if you'd want to live there. That's very important to consider. Like, is the school located in a place where you'd want to even geographically be? And then make sure
Mhm.
you're applying to a range of schools that are up here at the top, like, the top 10, also some, kind of here in the middle. And then, I mean, honestly, like all of the schools on this list are like amazing. Like,
Right.
Davis is great. Like, don't kind of get like bogged down by like how it's ranked, but just make sure you apply to a nice smattering of these schools on this
Right.
site. And that's kind of what I always recommend to people. So you can take that list and like look up, okay, let's look at UC Davis. Like what kind of MPH, MBA dual program do they have? Another thing, if you're interested in the business aspect, you can consider also just doing a traditional 2-year MPH only, and then focusing on a concentration that is more sort of like healthcare management or health policy. And then you're
Mhm.
always welcome to try to take courses at the business school wherever you end up going to sort of
Right.
fill in any gaps of knowledge. So that's another option if you want to apply to maybe some programs that are just MPH with a health policy or healthcare management focus.
Mhm.
And then, some programs that are dual MPH MBA. That way, when you get into your programs, you'll have an ability to decide um between like different types, so I always also recommend, like, if you're kind of like not sure exactly like what kind of program you want to go to, don't apply for the same thing across all the schools. Like, look into
Right.
each school, look at what their strengths are, and then apply for different types of programs at different places.
Okay, that is really helpful. Okay, cool. And like when you were applying, was the GRE required?
Yes.
Okay, because a lot of the MP schools, they don't require it at all now.
Yeah.
It's because of the MBA that I want to add to it. All of those schools require it. Yeah.
So my advice for you would be to just take a practice GRE test and see how you score. And if it's
Hmm.
like not abominable, like my GRE, like my math, my quant was like pretty good. It was like almost 90th percentile. And then my verbal was like below the 70th percentile. And then I got a pretty good writing score. I think I only got like 1 point off.
Hmm.
So again, not an amazing GRE, and it got me to where I am now. So I think that what the point of that is that the GRE is not like the crux of your application. It's kind of like, as long as you don't score like extremely terribly, like I think that it's not like other stuff, like you said, will make up for um uh, li- like a not like I don't think your GRE score is going to, like, a super high GRE score is gonna like make up for you lacking in like public health passion. You know what I mean? Like,
Right,
they care
right.
more about who you are, but the GRE is kind of there to just, make sure that you can, your quant and your verbal is like up to par. Um,
Okay.
so if I were you, I would just take a practice test and see how you do. And then,
Hmm.
um, and then based on that practice test score, decide that if it's worth applying, spending a little bit of
Hmm.
time to study and just take the GRE, because then that would open
Hmm.
the door for you to apply to all of those dual MBA, MPH programs.
Right.
Or, if you decide you take the practice test, you didn't enjoy the experience, it's going to be too stressful to try to study for that and get everything together, then maybe you just consider applying to, traditional 2-year MPH programs, or just MPH, any program that you can find that doesn't require the GRE, and then take your chances. With that.
Hmm.
Again, that will mean that you probably won't be able to apply to as many of those like MBA,
Hmm.
MPH dual programs. So really thinking through
Right.
like, okay, is this what you want? Um,
Hmm.
yeah, because another thing
Yeah.
you can do is you can wait and not take it now, and then see kind of how things play out this cycle. And then if you're not super like happy with your options when you hear back from schools in the spring, then you can always take the GRE and then apply
Hmm.
like next fall, and then do kind of a bigger, reach
Right.
with your with a GRE score if you want to try now without the GRE.
Right. Okay, I see. And with the or did you look at GRE versus GMAT? Like, did you consider both of them, or were you strictly on
No,
GRE?
I was never gonna go to business school, so
Okay. Oh,
definitely.
Okay,
Yeah, the
makes sense.
GRE is more for just like general grad school, and it, from what I've heard, it is an easier exam than the GMAT.
You see? Got it. Okay, I see. I see. Um, okay, and then do you like recommend any specific website or anything to take free practice tests or like just like free sample? It's
I
been a
don't
long time, I know.
Yeah, it's been a lot. I mean, I would just Google and find like anything that's like recent. I'm sure
Okay,
you can
sounds
find
good.
something. I mean, I think I bought like a prep book for like
Okay.
$20. Or I think the course that I took, because I paid to like be a part of this boot camp. It's funny, I paid to like for a verbal like boot camp class, and like my verbal score didn't even go up taking the thing, which was kind of
Mhm.
fun. But yeah, I think they gave me like a book, and I just used that.
Okay.
But I'm sure you can find stuff online, and I would actually take like the full test. Don't just take like one section of it and like extrapolate from that. Like just sit down and like,
Take the
you
full
know,
test.
focus, take the practice test. I think you might be surprised and do a lot better than you expect. 'Cause,
Mhm.
give yourself credit. Like GRE, it's not meant to like be a super different. It's not the SAT, it's not the LSAT or the MCAT. Like you know, I think,
Okay.
yeah, maybe just study your vocabulary. I don't know. The vocab was the hardest for me because that was just like pure memory. I just didn't have time to like learn a bunch of like vocabulary words and memorize.
Yeah,
But just try. I
makes
would
sense.
just say take a practice test and see how it goes.
Okay. Okay, I'll definitely do that. That's helpful. Thank you. And then I know you went on, like I know you did your PhD in population health sciences, and then now you're a postdoc at Stanford. So do you know exactly how did the MPH help you in your PhD? Like, do you feel like it was very helpful in pursuing higher education? Or do you feel like you could have just gone to the PhD and like the MPH wasn't as helpful in a sense?
Yeah, so I would say absolutely, like you need it. The MPH was
Mhm.
critical for me. There's no way. I was like working as a recruiter at a corporate office. I could not have gone from that to like getting into a PhD program. So for me, it
Right,
was necessary, an absolutely necessary bridge to get me back on track. But
right.
even if I was like not working a random corporate job, I still think the MPH is key. A lot of programs, PhD programs, actually say that a master's degree is required
Mhm,
in order to apply. So there will be exceptions to that rule. At programs, but for the most part, like I think having the master's degree is like almost sort of like assumed before you apply to the PhD program. Um,
mhm,
so yeah, for me it was
okay.
necessary though. I needed it to like, start thinking about public like it was absolutely necessary for me because I feel like I made a 180 in my knowledge going from like pre-MPH to post-MPH. And then like even from after getting my MPH to getting my PhD, I like leagues ahead in terms of like the
Right.
amount of kind of like skills, knowledge, etc. that I developed. So I think it is really important.
Okay. Okay, good to know. Okay, cool. And I know you did your concentration for the MPH in population health?
Social
Population
behavioral
health?
sciences, and that's what it
Okay, I
was
see.
for both my MPH and my PhD.
I think I'm more leaning towards either social and behavioral sciences or the population and family health, like that. So,
Yeah.
that
So
concentration.
anything, I mean, honestly, yeah. Any, I guess if you are looking for doing something more applied, like, I don't know if do you want to get a PhD after this, or is that just
I I was looking into the Doctor of Public Health degree.
okay?
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you want to do like a research PhD in the future, I think any concentration really would be fine, because no matter what, when you get to that PhD, you're going to be doing so much epi and stats, no matter what like I had to learn so much stats and epi, even though I was a social
Mhm.
behavioral sciences person,
Right.
my PhD. So that's, you, I think it just doesn't really matter what concentration you have. Like
Mhm.
you're gonna learn the skills. But if
Mhm.
you kind of like think that you're not gonna go down that like more researchy PhD route, you might do a more sort of like practice based. Like you sound like you want to start your own company or your nonprofit or an organization, maybe get a DRPH in the future. Then I would say like, yeah, go ahead and do something more sort of like community based, community health, social behavioral, like population,
Mhm.
I don't know, they call it different things at different places. So,
Yeah, they do.
I would just say at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter exactly what you concentrate in. Like all I know is that at Yale, the one concentration that did seem a little bit like different was the healthcare management because they took half of their classes at the business school. So you should look, especially if you have that interest in like the more businessy side of things, You should look for programs, that if they have, like, a more if their concentration if they do have, like, a more health administrative business type concentration within the school of public health, and you see that their classes take place at the school of business, sort of like the Yale one, then that would be a little bit different. That one, I think it would give you a different experience if you wanna go down that route a little bit more. So, for the most part,
Mm.
I like to say concentration doesn't matter, unless it actually being in a concentration, you, like, get access to a completely different, like, set of courses and a school, etcetera.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense. Thank you so much. And then one last thing, I don't know if you have like any GRE prep, like not books, but like just like PDFs or anything on you still. If you do, no, I didn't think
I
so.
mean, I took it 8 years ago.
It's been
I
a
I
while.
don't think you would even want what I had, because you want what's
Right.
latest. I would just dig around for, stuff online, like, I mean,
Okay.
I don't know if this is still a thing, but, like, I used to just, like, go to my local library and, like, borrow like, they have these prep books at the library. Sometimes they even have used versions you can buy for really cheap. You could even,
Hmm.
like, go to a
Yeah.
bookstore, open up the prep book, sit there, and then just do the test for a few hours, and then close the book and put it back on the shelf if you don't wanna pay for it. I know. Uh,
Okay.
Trust me, I pinch pennies when I can too, and
Yeah.
so however you
Yeah.
feel would work, but there are ways to get access to these materials, I'm sure.
Okay. Okay. That makes sense. That makes sense. Thank you so much. This has been super helpful. And thank you. Like, I know you're like so busy, but I really appreciate you sitting down with me and answering my questions.